Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Janice aka Fleeting Beauty, back yet again with another video for you guys. So as you see today, things are a little bit different in where I'm filming, and that is because today I'm starting kind of like a new segment called Janice's Corner. Janice's Corner is basically going to be any videos that I produce that are not, beauty makeup based, but more of like conversational and topic oriented. So we're just going to talk about life things in Janice's Corner. So today's video is going to be about anxiety and coping and dealing with anxiety. If you guys are interested in my anxiety story or how I've been coping with anxiety, or you're just here because you have anxiety and you want to get a little bit of information on the illness in general, just go ahead and keep on watching. Alright guys, so I have my coffee and I hope you guys have something to drink as well so that we can just relax and talk and get into this topic of anxiety. I hate it. So I guess I'll start off first by talking about my personal anxiety experience. I didn't start facing anxiety until about 3 years ago, which is really actually kind of recent. But it makes more sense now because I've learned that any kind of mental illness, whether it's anxiety or depression or any of the other in the DSM-5, you have to have started off kind of with a gene, like a predisposition for this illness. It's usually accompanied with a life experience. So some people may have the gene for depression or schizophrenia or any other mental illness, but it never gets ignited because they don't have a life experience that kind of lights the torch. So there could be many more people walking around with some kind of mental illness and just they haven't faced any life crisis or anything like that. So for me, that is kind of how it happened. I never thought that anxiety was anything that ran in my family, but as I talked to my grandma and kind of started paying closer attention to how my mom used to react, she didn't have anxiety, but she was always a little bit nervous or just over the top when it came to little things. So that's kind of something you guys can look into as well. If you have anxiety or you kind of notice that you get anxious or kind of worked up really easily, or you feel the physical symptoms of anxiousness or nervousness, kind of look into your family history and start paying attention to the small details of attitudes or actions. I say that to say I kind of figured out that it is something that kind of runs in the family very subtly. So my life crisis or life experience that kind of started me into this anxiety roller coaster was a health issue that I ended up having. And health alone isn't the issue, but it was how this issue came about. It kind of woke me out of my sleep with this crazy bodily sensation that I'd never felt before. So it sent me into a very scary panic. And I guess the difference, because like I said, I've kind of always noticed that I had this anxious kind of personality, I guess, like kind of not nervous, but just really like careful. I was very overprotective of my sisters, always checking to make sure they were good in the middle of the night, just kind of extra with it. And I'm claustrophobic as well as have an extreme fear of heights. Yes, I hate getting into elevators. I've always had this crazy hatred for bugs or anything that is non-human, I guess I would say. But bugs, like I used to freak out, and yeah, so there was just little things that I thought was pretty normal. There's a lot of people that don't like elevators, but I literally would go into a panic. I've had a lot of hospital visits just from complete drainage of my body, like not just weighed down in the sense of how people say they're weighed down with stress or work, or I felt literally like people were sitting on my back as I was walking. Like it was hard to pick up my feet. My chest just felt really just heavy. And this was something that it wasn't just like I was having an anxiety attack. This was a feeling that was prolonged, that I was having for about a week. So it was really scary. Obviously, that's not normal. So I was having anxiety on top of the fact that I was feeling these things. Like certain things that would happen, like heavy chest, hard, it's hard to breathe. Feeling like I'm gonna pass out, like digestive. I was having like digestive issues. So anything connected to these feelings, so anything that I can even associate with hard time breathing, increased heart rate, like working out. That's why I don't know if some of you have been my friends for a while, you know that I used to work out. I haven't worked out just because once my heart rate gets up, because I'm working out, it's normal, it can send me into an anxiety attack. Very weird, but my life. So it was very debilitating because this was something I wasn't facing with situational or with any kind of trigger. It was kind of a everyday, all day situation where I'd feel in a state of panic, just not relaxed, not okay. I didn't feel okay. I would go to class. There was a few times I had to walk out of my classes because I just started feeling claustrophobic in areas where I never used to. I used to only feel that if I was inside of an elevator, or if somebody like tried to smother me under a pillow, or something of that sort. But I never felt that way just because I was in a crowded space. So I started having them during class where I have to walk out, being home alone because my husband works. And when I would come home, I'd be here by myself, and I would have anxiety until he got home. Had a hard time sleeping because the initiator of my anxiety, it was a medical condition that came about in the middle of the night. I started having a hard time going to sleep at night because I was scared it was going to happen again. So it was just like this all day, every day, anxious, overbearing. Like there was times I would just be crying because I was like, I just want to go back to my normal self. And then I was feeling alone because obviously one of the things that is true of mental illnesses is that minority groups such as African Americans and Hispanics, it's kind of taboo to have a mental illness. Like it's kind of one of those like, get over it, nothing's wrong with you, stop being dramatic kind of thing. The approach, that's the approach that's taken. And so the people with depression or with anxiety or any other mental illness is kind of left feeling alone and feeling even more like something's wrong with them, but not being able to express that, which can lead to, things like suicide and just other things that end up being worse because of not getting that emotional support from family members. So I was facing that a little bit. People weren't really understanding. It was like I was being overreacting or dramatic, or I need to just stop thinking that way. And one of the big things to remember with any mental illness is that it's mental. And if any of you guys, whether you have a mental illness or not, the thing that makes it what it is, like phobias or depression or anxiety, is that it's irrational. It is irrational. And it's not that the fact that it's irrational escapes us. We understand it's irrational. But at the same time, if you guys ever are stressed out about anything financially, or an exam, or your car is screwed up, how many times are you able to like, okay, I'm not going to think about it, and then it just keeps coming back? No matter how much you try, no matter how you try to push it off to the side, like your brain is so powerful, you have like, sometimes it feels like you have no control over it. So that's just a normal average person. Now take someone with anxiety or depression, where it's something that they're trying to stop thinking about because it's causing physical symptoms and physical pain and just a whole roller coaster of other things. They can't stop doing that. They can't stop the what if. But what if? Okay, you're fine. But what if? Like the what if is like the thing that plays on you the most, and you understand it's irrational. But then there's a part that's like, but what if? What if? The what ifs, I think, are probably the worst things with anxiety. So there's different types of I don't want to say different types of anxieties, but there are different types of anxieties. The reason that it's so hard to kind of cure, and why psychologists and therapists have a hard time trying to pinpoint people's anxiety, is that there's so many different causes of it. Any kind of phobia, whether you're scared of snakes or spiders or heights, all those are anxiety disorders, and they're irrational fears that cause anxiety. The difference with that is that the anxiety only occurs in that situation, whether it can be ignited from just hearing the word spider or seeing a spider or being close to one. Whatever the case, your anxiety only arises from those certain occasions. With me, I was having a really hard time kind of overcoming it personally, because I couldn't find anyone who felt the same way I did. Everybody else was like, yeah, I have anxiety, but I only have anxiety if I'm like running late, or I have anxiety when I have exams, or, you know, it's kind of like, okay, that's not what I'm experiencing. Like, and I was like, a lot of things started occurring just because my anxiety was so prevalent. Like every day, like I said, every day, all day, I began getting tension headaches. The first time I ever got one, it lasted 2 weeks straight, and I was convinced that I had a brain tumor. It sounds funny now, but at the time I was dead serious. If any of you guys have ever experienced a tension headache, or maybe you haven't, they don't feel like a regular headache. It's like this pressury feeling, like around your temples, it's almost like if you wear a hat that's too tight. Like that pressure feeling, it's like that, but you don't have a hat on. And I was like, what the heck is wrong with my head? Like 2 weeks straight, guys. 2 weeks straight. And so I was telling, well, he was my boyfriend at the time. I was like, I feel like I need to go to the doctor. Like, what if I have a brain tumor? What if I have a mass? Like, what if, you know, like, and I just was anxious that whole time. I started getting really shaky, but only my left hand. So my left hand would shake uncontrollably, randomly. Like I would be trying to do something, my hand would be shaking. Only my left hand. I kept feeling like I was going to pass out. I remember I was in Bible study, because it was still when the tension headaches was fairly new. And I was sitting in class like, oh my gosh, like trying to focus. I'm trying to listen to the word and get my scriptures in. And the only thing I could focus on was, I think I'm going to pass out right now. I feel like I'm about to pass out right now. So I was just zoned out and panicking on my own. And that was something I kind of learned to do, just because, like I said, not having that emotional support. So I began to like try to hide when I was having a panic attack, which didn't always make it better. Sometimes I just would just feel so alone and not know what to do. And by this time, guys, I had gone to the emergency room so many times that it started being like, okay, no, like I don't even want to bring it up to anybody, because they're gonna think I'm crazy. Like, I'm just gonna try to deal with it. By the way, as I was going to these doctors, telling them like, I'm feeling this is wrong, they were like doing all these tests, doing blood work, doing all that, and they're like, you're perfectly healthy. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not sick. You're like, it was nothing. They couldn't find anything. So they started prescribing me anxiety medication, but I refused to take it. And I know the doctors, and probably some of you were probably like, what? Like, you're dealing with this every day, all day, going in and out of the emergency room and can't even function in class and all this, and you didn't take the pills? No. The reason for that is because I didn't want to rely on anything but Christ. And I knew that the source of my anxiety was me not trusting God. I guess when I got anxiety, I started realizing how much we kind of think we're in control of our lives, whether it's work or family or health. We have no control over these things. And I think we kind of subconsciously, unconsciously go through life thinking that we do have some kind of control over it. And when something happens out of our control is when we realize, like, I don't have control of this. And it can cause anxiety, you know, whether it's a death in the family, or, like I said, you have a health issue that's actually is serious. And I think sometimes God allows us to go through these things because we need to really realize that we need to depend on Him, and that we do not have control over anything. We have no control over anything. But the beauty in that, because that alone is scary to think, like, we don't have control over anything, like, what? But the beauty of it is that we can trust in God and know that He has our best interests at hand. And as long as we're living for Him and we're listening to Him daily, He's leading us, you know. And so that was the source of me being to this place now, where I can honestly say I don't know when's the last time I had an anxiety attack. I feel safe. I feel, even when one starts to arise, when, you know, I feel something and I'm like, oh God, what's that? Like, I can trust God. I'll pray. I'll get into my word. I was reading, it was like a 30-day book on trusting God with different scriptures that talk about trusting him, and just learning that stressing and getting anxious about it is not going to help anything. This is not saying you say that to yourself and it goes away, because this is 3 years of, you know, trying to get through this, and it wasn't overnight that I got to this place. It's not even 100% cured, but there was one point where I was exhausted from it. I don't want to say I was depressed, because I knew I still had ambition and I still had function and reason to get up every morning and go. But it was just times I would just lay and just cry, like, I cannot do this anymore. Like, not today, not again, not all day again. Like, it was just so exhausting and so frustrating. And every time I got frustrated, because you can literally drive yourself crazy if you're constantly thinking like, oh, is this ever going to end? Is this ever going to go away? And I think, like, in those moments where I would feel myself going there, that's when I would go to God like, okay, I know that you're a healer, and I know that as long as I continue to trust in you, eventually I'm not going to feel this anymore. And I had to talk to God, and I had to talk to myself to get through it. And that's what I did. Having anxiety from bodily sensations is probably one of the scariest and most frustrating thing ever. Because even things that you once felt before, like all your life, now it's doesn't feel like it's a normal thing. Like, I would get bit, like I would have a bump that was a little itchy because I got bit by something, you know, the normal things. We all get bit by something every once in a while. But I would freak out like, what if it's a poisonous spider bite, or what? Like, just why? I used to get bit all the time and never thought that. Never even thought twice about it. But now every little thing with health or my body or death or any sends me into a panic. And so I really had to like get down to the root of it as well. Like, why are you so afraid of dying if you believe in God and believe that that's supposed to be the happiest moment ever, when you're introduced and connected with God. And so it took a lot. It took a lot. So my advice to you guys is that if you're feeling alone or you're feeling frustrated, for one, I think therapy is amazing. I did go to one therapy session at my school because it's offered, which is freaking amazing. So if you're in school and you're able to go get free, because it's including your tuition, like counseling and therapy sessions, I suggest you go do it, especially if you're in a family where, you know, mental illness is kind of looked at as like it doesn't exist and you're tripping. I definitely suggest finding someone you can talk to. Over the years, I have found a few people that understand what I'm going through, and being able to talk to them and share the exact same physical feelings is amazing. Because the problem with anxiety is a lot of times when you're feeling what you're feeling, you're kind of like, nobody else feels this. So what if it's not anxiety? And that what if sends you into a worse anxiety attack than you're already in. So I definitely suggest finding someone you can talk to, whether it's a friend or family or a therapist. Definitely getting into your word and learning to trust God, because trust is the foundation, the root of anxiety. Like, you're anxious, you're nervous, you're worried, you're stressed because you're not trusting that everything's going to work itself out. You're just thinking the worst. So definitely get into those scriptures, start reading, getting to know God, getting to know his character, learning what it means to trust him, and see where it takes you. Because I can only imagine if I was going through this back, before I got saved, when I was kind of felt like I was in control of my own life and I can do whatever and nothing happens to me. And that was kind of where I was at, because I was always athletic, I was always in sports, I was always active. So I never had any health issues, never, ever, like never. And so I kind of was like feeling like I was invincible. So it was the first time something health related hit me that felt like I was gonna die, and it sent me into this place that I am now trying to crawl my way out of. If any of you guys have anxiety or need someone to talk to, feel no way about leaving, either sending me an email. My email is always down in the description box, or writing a comment if you want to share with more people, or if you're someone who's already conquered anxiety and you have advice that you like to give, positive advice, then go ahead and leave that in the description box as well. And I just appreciate you guys listening to me blab for however long this video is going to be. I'm going to try to edit it as short as possible, but I don't want to take away from something that's this serious, since it's already kind of looked at as less than. And anxiety is really serious because the physical symptoms you go through, if you keep putting your body through that stress, it does become things like heart disease and heart failure and all kinds of other things, hormonal imbalances. You just want to make sure that you're trying to get your body at a calm state and at homeostasis. All right, so it is as serious as those other illnesses. So take it serious, take care of yourself. If you can avoid taking prescriptions, I definitely advise against it. Like I said, I never took it. I'm so grateful that I didn't. And prescription pills, medicine doesn't heal the root of the issue. It just covers over it sometimes, and even then sometimes you're still facing the same things and you're taking those pills. And I believe if there's anything you can ever become dependent upon, it shouldn't be pills, but it should be God. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up. Go ahead and leave comments. I love to hear you guys' stories and what you guys are going through or what you've overcome. And if you're new to my channel, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can become part of the family, because we're growing a family. We're getting close here. We're about to bear all our feelings. So thank you guys again so much, and I will catch you guys in my next video. But until then, always remember that blessed are the pure in heart. Peace, smile, crease, cornrows, and afros. Bye.